occupation. This is why they didn't do it before, and I was not enthusiastic about it. For the right could have said, okay, if you are ready to have your recognized state on actually 40% of the land, be my guest, I recognize you, you are the prime minister, you are the president, you can be an ambassador, whatever. It is a cheap solution. Why didn't the right support it? I really don't understand. I may say that it was a kind of a small victory, because the Palestinians could prove to the world that there is a majority with them. Now, the question is, what are we going to do on the ground? Right. And how can they save paying a price, like giving up on American assistance and whatever, which might be a real price for them? So the victory is a little bit theoretical, and the price is very tangible.
Let's take our first caller from the UK. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, yes. My name is Ali. I have a question to your guests about Israeli-Palestinian dispute and its negative economic impact on the economy of the Middle East region, and what is the solution to progress the economy, which caused the collapse of regime of Egypt and regime of Tunisia and the regime of Libya due to not processing the peace process, not achieving any peace on the Palestinian-Israeli side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. It certainly makes an interesting point, which is the level to which the Arab Spring was rooted in economic upheaval. And the lack of resolve in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict has, in addition to being this really important existential issue for Arabs, there is this bottom line economic stability piece.
It's not only the economic stability. As long as the Palestinians, they did not get their just and fair solution for their problem, it always will be the problem in the region. Mm-hmm. It is essential for the Palestinians to have the cause of the Palestinians to be just and to be fair and to accomplish something by having their own state. If they don't have that, the stability in the whole region will not be as people think it might be. The new uprising that is taking place within the Arab community there, it is the youth, they're all asking for having a better freedom, a better dignity, and a better way for future. It's the same thing that we are asking. So we are in the same line. And unless we have the justice for our cause, it will create problems in the region, and economically, as well as socially, as well as other elements that we don't know what will happen later. Everybody knows that it is a crucial element in the region, that the Palestinian-Israeli issue must be solved with justice and fairness. Otherwise, things will keep, God knows what will happen. I mean, this must take place. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, we have to have a just for our cause.
Let's take another caller from Ghana. Good evening, caller.
Yes, good evening. My name is Mark Anthony from Ghana. Mark Anthony Mansour from Ghana.
Welcome. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Yes.
Did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question regarding the economic. Yes, the economic situation in Israel. Is it possible that it could flare up to be an Israeli Spring? That's number one. Number two, seeing the two guests that you have sitting next to each other gives me a lot of hope that, you know, they can also solve their problems without Obama and without Netanyahu. I think if the willingness is there, they can easily, you know, solve the problems, you know, without having to rely on the election of Obama again or the re-election of Netanyahu, you know, and just iron the differences.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. Economic situation in Israel.
Well, first about making peace between us. Yes, we can make peace between us, but it is not enough. we may not need so much the American president, although it might be very important to have him in the game, but we cannot do it without the leadership of both peoples. So without Abu Mazen, Mahmoud Abbas, and without Netanyahu or their successors, it would be impossible. And this is why there is a kind of a triangular, the Palestinians, the Israelis, and the Americans in the peacemaking process. It is not that all of them have to be synchronized and agree to the same target. It is enough that one of them will fight like hell for peace. The current situation, because of many reasons, is that one of them is not ready to pay the price. The others are ready to pay the price or agree with the price which should be paid, but are not fighting for achieving it because of their own political reasons and personal reasons. And this is why I believe that we cannot make it. For sure, the peoples are ready. The majorities are there. We see it in all the public opinion polls. It is a matter of leadership, and without this leadership, on the Palestinian side, on the Israeli side, and I do not compare. I mean, it is different. It is a different situation. But without this leadership, you cannot do it. Now about the economy. I would say so. In Israel, you are not going to have the Israeli Spring, even though we had very nice demonstrations, because, first of all, it is a democracy, and the easiest thing is to change the government in the ballot box. You don't have to have a revolution for this, and this is why this Israeli Spring was very quiet. Another reason is that, generally speaking, Israel is still very stable economically. It might change in a day, God forbid, but it is stable, and it is a very today it is flourishing. The unemployment is the lowest in the last 30 years, and so there is a general good feeling in Israel, which might be a deception, might be temporary, but this is the current situation. What is interesting is about the economic, the turnover between the two sides, between Israel and Palestine. People don't know that Palestine for Israel is the second economic target after the United States. If you don't compare it to Europe as Europe, but to Europe as different states, we are speaking about $4.5 billion a year. So for Israel, it is a big part of our economy. For the Palestinians, it is even much bigger. And I'm just thinking, if we have peace, we can really multiply it. We can do so many things economically together if we can really easily go from one side to another. Today, even though it is very cumbersome and difficult, still you have economic cooperation in favor of both sides.
I think that was the point of the caller in referencing the Arab Spring and how much better it would be if we could get to some resolve on that. Let's take one more call before we have to go to break. Nebraska, good evening, caller.
Yes. Hello. My name is Isam Ismail. I'm calling from Nebraska. Hello, Doctor.
Hello.
Hello, Mr.
كلنا دكاتير.
كيف حالك دكتور؟
الحمد لله.
أهلين. أنا أبو أمين اللي بحكي.
أهلا وسهلا.
أهلين. When the 1993 peace process started, we were under the impression that it's going to be a Palestinian state on the 1967 borders. And that's when we signed the Oslo Accord, and everybody was happy that we're going to have two-state solution. The Israelis, some way, somehow, they always have excuses not to implement. And Mr. Yossi Beilin, you were among the encouraging people to have the two-state solution. You were an adult, and you were peace activist. I remember you, and I followed you. But I believe if the two-state solution is not implemented right away, and Israel should be the first one to recognize that the Palestinian state on 1967 borders, we're going to go to a lot of difficulties, and probably the only thing will be available is one-state solution, where Jews, Christians, and Muslims live in one country in the entire Palestine, from the Mediterranean Sea all the way to Jordan River. And this is what
Thank you. I'm sorry, caller. I've got to interrupt only, and then we're almost out of time in this segment, and I want to give them an opportunity each to respond quickly to your comment. Thank you so much for calling.
First of all, we, as President Abbas said, we wanted a one-state solution. We want the Palestinian state, and we wanted that to happen within the negotiation, a serious negotiation that will take place. But unfortunately, this is not happening. And just I want to one point about the economy. You know, while the economy of Israel is flourishing, the economy in the United States is down too much, and our economy is not that good as well. So this is the thing. If you are flourishing in Israel economically and satisfied with the way you are and doing the things that you wanted to do and putting more obstacles in front of achieving peace, while the Americans are trying to solve their economic problem there, at the same time the American Congress want to cut aid on the Palestinians as well, because something that going to the United Nations to be part of the UN arena, it became a punishment for the Palestinians to do so. It's unacceptable, and it's I don't know what to say about it. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Right. Let me, because we're almost out of time, his point there about this conversation and the importance of a two-state solution. Have we entered a phase? When is that point where it becomes basically a theoretical conversation? Because it's the facts on the ground are such that it's almost no longer conceivable.
Never. There won't be a point of no return with the two-state solutions, because I believe that if there are more Palestinians than Israelis in the area between the sea and the River Jordan, the Prime Minister of Israel, if he is not ready to pay the price for peace and to divide Jerusalem and all these things, will withdraw unilaterally to something like the wall or the fence which has been built already. So I don't think that there is any Israeli Prime Minister, even from the extreme right, who will be ready to a situation whereby we are a minority, the Palestinians we are a minority, they are a majority, and we are ruling them, because nobody will accept it in the world, and in Israel the majority will be against it too.
I'm so grateful for the time that we had, particularly because it was the two of you together. Thank you very much for joining us. We could have certainly talked longer. We'll be back our next segment to look at the situation in Syria with Murhaf Shuwaijati of the National Defense University and take more of your calls. Stay tuned.